Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Neo Reality Entertainment Eric Brown. This is my thoughts on, the last 2 days have been pretty hectic with the reveal of the Snyder Cut. So, this is the Snyder Cut announcement talk. I'm trying a new format and everything, don't mind that. So, we've heard this legend, the Snyder Cut. We've heard it for the last several years. Justice League had a very tumultuous production, so to speak. Um, I'm looking at some articles right now. So, Justice League, really the whole DCEU was not doing so well because they were trying so desperately trying to catch up to Marvel. They had one film under their name and the need to rush everything for some reason, even though they could have just went at their own pace. Like, yeah, they were late to the game, very late, but like, from a historical, let's go with historical context. Um, the British Empire, the sun never sets on the British Empire, they got in the game late with the whole colonization of the world, basically, and they became the largest empire in history until it fragmented and everything. But they came late. Justice League, Hollywood could have went late with the Justice League and DCEU thing, and probably surpassed Marvel if they took their time like the British Empire did. Uh, yeah, I know the context is much different, and there was no, and while there is Hollywood battles, there's not really guns and whatnot being used involved in this. But let's just use the context of that. So this is the tale of the Snyder Cut and everything that went down with it. Like, there was various production stuff that went on. Zack Snyder was directing, pretty much was in charge of the whole project, but then so this goes ahead, and Zack Snyder had a family emergency. He had to leave, and the task was left to Joss Whedon, and who had left Marvel at the time after the events of Age of Ultron, and the shakeup happened there. So they had to. They realized that Batman v Superman did not do as well, and then they made the ultimate cut, which I did enjoy more. I liked that more than the original cut. But they were fearing that if they went with the 3 hour idea, they would lose audience attention spans because they have that philosophy still that if you don't do this, then you're not going to make it work this time. So, yeah, there are tons of people that would love to watch 3 hour epics and whatnot, and probably even a fourth one. Like, people rewatch Lord of the Rings, Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy, and they were all 3 4 hour epics, and yet people love all of them. Okay, maybe the third one's mixed at best to people nowadays, but I thought it was good. Like, everyone loves Dark Knight Joker, but everyone remembers that for it. But there's always been this production stuff. Reshoots happened, and Joss Whedon was basically the new director after Zack Snyder was pretty much fired after he left for family emergency reasons. And a lot of the tone was very destroyed basically after this because they wanted to go with the darks because Zack Snyder had a darker version of Justice League. Joss Whedon went for the more Marvel approach, and yeah, I feel like they finally got the balance right in terms of its tone with Wonder Woman, but that took way too longer than it probably should have. And in fact, I would have restructured the whole thing. I'll probably make a video discussing about how I would have done the DCEU, like phases and film stuff. Because originally I was going to talk about Justice League after when I see the Blu-ray, but when everything went down the way it did, like all the toxicity and then this whole Snyder cut started and how insane that got, I was thinking, yeah, I'm probably not going to do it. I was originally also going to make a video talking about the DCU and how I would have done it if I was in charge of the project. So, yeah, which would have borrowed a lot of elements of how Marvel structured their stuff. I know I'm speaking heresy, and I have admitted I liked Man of Steel. I had there were good concepts, and halfway through the movie, Batman v Superman was looking to be a very different type of take on the superhero stuff. And then you got, and then Suicide Squad happened, and I was like, there were some good ideas, but the plot basically happened because Amanda Waller was an idiot. So now you get this stuff going on about the Justice League and the Snyder Cut. Like, there was hashtags, petitions, calling and demanding for it. Like, even when you had stuff not talking about Justice League's movie, and fans would post in DC's Twitter accounts and Facebook saying hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Now, I never gave in to that talk. Like, I only talked about a cut once, which was the J.J. Abrams cut of the Rise of Skywalker, and I would have loved to see the original director Colin Trevorrow's take on the Rise of Skywalker, since he had a much different vision. Like, apparently, it was going to have the final battle take place on Coruscant, but sadly, since there was no film, there's no cut. But here's what was my thoughts on the Snyder Cut. Did I believe there was a Snyder Cut of the movie? Fuck yes. Like, it would have been laughable not to. It was laughable that I heard people say there is no Snyder Cut. Like, and I was thinking to myself, why wouldn't there be? It was well into production, and there was a lot of stuff cut from the movie. Why wouldn't there be a Snyder Cut? Like, there's always a cut that the director had. Like, there's a reason why DVDs and Blu-rays have director cuts or extended editions to add more stuff to it that was cut from the movie because they had a different vision for theatrical releases, and then they were like, okay, now we got this out, let's sell it on Blu-ray or DVD to get more money out of this. Like, that's the big highlight when it comes to director cuts and whatnot. Like, fans wanted because they get more story and context, but in the world of Hollywood executives, they were like, boom, more money. If people like it or people demand it, they want more money. We're going to get money out of this. So, yeah, I was like, why wasn't Warner so interested in talking about the Snyder Cut for years? Like, just admit it was real. Like, it would have pushed more that released the Snyder Cut trend, and there were times it got a little too far, and there were they bought billboards to promote the Snyder Cut movement. Zack Snyder and even the DCEU actors like Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, and Henry Cavill were basically joining Zack Snyder and saying, release it. We want to see it. We want the public to see it. And a lot of people were also saying, like, they kept saying the tagline of the movie was Unite the Seven. And let's see, the movie had Cyborg, Aquaman, Henry Cavill Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash. You said Unite the Seven. Where's the seventh? And apparently Zack Snyder's cut did have a plan to have the seventh member in as a cameo appearance, which was either going to be Hal Jordan or some Green Lantern character. I honestly did not want Hal Jordan to be the guy. Not because of Green Lantern. I never saw that movie. I had heard of it. I never saw it. But I wanted, actually, Jon Stewart to be the guy for one particular reason. It's extremely biased for me. Because he was my introduction. He gave me my start with Green Lantern. Like, I didn't know who the hell Hal Jordan was until Green Lantern the movie. And fans didn't know who Hal Jordan was until Jeff Johns' Rebirth era. So, you either knew when you heard the Green Lantern stuff, you were like, oh, that's Jon Stewart, right? The Jon Stewart guy? Like, I know there's a whole core, and you got a guy named Kyle Rayner running around, but you're talking about Jon Stewart. He's the face. But DC Comics, it's like, no. Forget those two. And forget Alan Scott. He doesn't count. Hal Jordan is the most iconic. Which, and Linkara brought this up. Like, he said, like, they could have just, like, for the New 52, since Cyborg was put in the group of Justice League instead of, what he started out with as the Teen Titans, they wanted to go with the whole Cyborg and add more race to it because stupid reasons made no sense. Because, switching Al Jordan out with Jon Stewart is just freaking stupid, right? Right? But, yeah, that was... Yeah, the New 52 had a lot of box stuff. They could have went with Jon Stewart. Like, come on. The guy is really popular amongst fans. They loved his relationship with Hawkgirl. in the show. Why not just do that? Yeah, pardon me if I'm rubbing my beard and whatnot. I've been in this house for weeks. I haven't been to a barber shop. My hair's getting out. My beard's extending outwards. So there's some hair coming constantly in my mouth. So yeah, if all goes as planned, I might be back at work in June, but we don't know depending on how protocol dictates everything since I got a doctor's note. But anyways, back to this. So the Snyder Cut was always this foretold legend by everybody. It was an urban myth to people. It was like this urban legend for fans. They wanted this. Like, there was a ton of stuff from what I was reading when I was looking at long form and rereading a whole bunch of details. Like, it was supposed to be much darker. Like, originally it was supposed to be a two-parter, Justice League Part 1, Justice League Part 2. And the original plan was to have Steppenwolf be the villain in Part 1, and then you get motherfucking Darkseid in Part 2. And there were a lot, like, they had plans to have Darkseid in the movie, a younger Darkseid, and apparently I was reading this stuff when I was watching Angry Joe's reaction to the Snyder Cut announcement was basically this. Wonder Woman was going to kill Steppenwolf because Wonder Woman was awesome, and Gal Gadot is awesome as Wonder Woman. So much so that they went as far as to render Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, like they did with Harley Quinn and man, I forgot her name. Oh man, people are gonna kill me. Margaret Robbie, yeah, her. So I went ahead and was studying all this stuff. I have seen Zack Snyder talk about the Snyder Cut at times. So here's the thing. They were going to have a much darker take on this. It was basically a whole different movie. And Darkseid was going to be in it after Wonder Woman killed Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf's head was going to arrive at Darkseid and he was going to squash it, which would have been very metal and testosterone filled. So yeah, the idea was they were going to do that, and then they would build up for Darkseid's eventual appearance for Part 2 as essentially, well, be the Thanos of the DCEU. Like, whereas Thanos is being reported about Loki's failure and the Court of Death, which when I read the comics about Thanos, that grin he gives is now much different in context when the servant mentions to court death. And he gives that smile. Now, like, I can't picture Thanos smiling in the delight of challengers. I picture him thinking like he's gonna wanting to, like, when he hears the words, "I am going to court death," challenging them. Sith thrusters to maximum pleasure. Oh yeah. So yeah, that happened, and I'm left wondering to myself, "Oh god, that's stupid." But at least Thanos wasn't like that in the movie. I like that for spin on Thanos with a much more reasonably yet insane Thanos. But Darkseid, he was the epitome of evil. He's the like, his name is literally Darkseid. He's a new god. He's an ultimate fuck you antagonist. And really the closest we probably could have gotten to Zack Snyder's vision of the DCU was Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Originally, I found out that it was originally going to be called Future's End, and that story was not good when I saw Lin Carr's review for the 500 episode. So I went and looked into this stuff. Like I said, there was a fuck ton of stuff cut. Like, it was two different directors' visions. You got Joss Whedon's take, which was the public version, and then you got Zack Snyder's take, which was much different. So here's the thing. There were a bunch of stuff, like Collider wrote that they also heard that there was a Snyder rough cut of the movie that was deemed unwatchable, a word that jumped out at me because it's rare you hear two separate sources using the exact same adjective. Of course, even if that's true, there's obviously more to the story since rough cuts can be fixed up with reshoots, rewrites, etc. That's what Collider said, looking on the IGN article about it. And there were a lot of big differences between this and the whatnot, and like the most infamous one was Henry Cavill and digitally CGIing his mustache out of existence, and I was thinking like, my God, that is so ugly. Like, this is one of the most expensive movies yet at this time when Justice League was in production, and they really fucked up the CGI removal. Like I've seen fan edits that remove characters from existence to put in another character and make it look seamless. Ultra Sergeant and Dr. Flashpoint are two prime examples, so shout out to them. Because Henry Cavill was required to maintain a mustache because of the whole Paramount Mission Impossible Fallout, which I will talk about at a later day when I finally get around to watching it. So, yeah. So like, there was a bunch of other characters supposed to be in here. Like, Iris West was supposed to be in here. General Anthropo was supposed to be in here. Willem Dafoe's Volko being cut from the film entirely. Other characters was like not Ray Palmer or Ryan Chow was supposed to be in this movie. And yeah, so, and everyone was like, they were talking about the Unite the Seventh, and also I realized that Martian Manhunter wasn't in this, and I was like, where's he? Where's John Jones? Isn't he existing? So it was never said if it was Green Lantern or John Jones that was going to be the seventh, but they did say that, yeah, it was going to be Green Lantern. Snack and I came in and said, yeah, it's Green Lantern. We're not including him. We're not including John Jones, even though people grew up with the Justice League cartoon, so fuck that. Even though you could have just changed the plot and just say, Unite the Eight, so you can have both characters. And there was always and like, the plan was originally going to go ahead, and also Elias Stone, Cyborg's dad, was supposed to die in this version of Zack Snyder. So there was so much stuff in here that sounds good in theory. We don't know what the end result product is going to be like, but now it's like, but then as the years went on and there was tension mounting within Warner Brothers over everything going on, and the studio even executive told Wall Street Journal there were never going to be plans to do it, but that only further pushed the Snyder Cut movement going on, and fans were starting crowdfunding sites with the goal of using half the funds to boost awareness of the Snyder Cut program. Yeah, and the other half was going to be donated to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in honor of Snyder's late daughter, Autumn, because that's what happened to her, why this whole thing got set in motion, basically. Rest in peace. But yeah, later in 2019, the group purchased billboard space in the Times Square during New York Comic Con. By the end, it was safe to say that even casual fans became aware of the phenomenon. Gal Gadot got involved, Ben Affleck got involved, and along with Ray Fisher, Deathstroke actor Joe, whatever his last name is pronounced as, followed the example, and so now it was no longer DC fans, and now DC couldn't get away with it. Warner Bros. Couldn't get away with it, because every time when they made a post, even if it was not even really the DC stuff or the Justice League, you got this comment constantly spreading, say, release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut, and it kind of did get annoying at times. And yeah, there were a freaking ton of stuff. Like, Ben Affleck was even bothered by Snyder's exit was being handled and how the studio elected to finish the film, referring to the theatrical cut as, this is what Ben Affleck said, kind of a cow's body with a horse's head a little bit, and I was thinking, yeah. So, yeah, and like I said, I did believe there was a Snyder cut of the film. They were so far into production, they had to have had a rough cut of Zack Snyder's original vision. And here's the thing, the only time I could ever say there probably will never be a cut is Aliens 3. Because while there is an assembly cut that, in my opinion, improved the movie a lot more than the original cut, there's no version of the director's cut because the director of the movie was basically a puppet for the executives of Fox. And I'm thinking, like, there is a rough cut that was 4 hours long and was supposed to be much more freaking gory, from what I heard. But that cut is so lost now that I don't know if they'll ever find it. And the director never wants to talk about that movie ever again. Like, he rarely talks about it because every time when he talks about it, he just when I saw Chris Stuckman's big video review of it with another person, a friend of his. I saw it and I saw the clip where he shows the director talk about this while doing interviews for another movie he was working on at the time. He talked about it, and you notice like he was like, really freaking don't want to talk about it, but they asked and I promised I would answer any questions. So he doesn't even refer to the movie as Aliens 3. He doesn't want to talk about it. So, and they did mention there was a cut he had, but that cut is so lost we don't know where it is. We just know it's there, but we don't know where it is. Like, apparently one of the scenes had Newt's body be very shown while being dissected and autopsied. Yeah, a little girl was going to be autopsied after she was killed off for stupid reasons. But, yeah. So, yeah, there was this whole talk about the Snyder Cut, and everything about it was just absolutely insane. Like, everyone wanted to see the Snyder Cut. People's hopes were renewed when the HBO Max thing was announced, because people thought, what better way to get people to buy your crap, Warner Brothers, if you bring the Snyder Cut back. And there were word going around that they weren't even doing that. They said, nope, fuck all of you, we're not doing it. It's dead, we don't want to talk about it, can we just move on with it? And then several weeks later, on May 20th, after weeks of saying that's not going to happen, they were like, fuck, let's do it. So, yeah, what happened was they did a live stream. Zack Snyder was doing a live stream along with Man of Steel, which at the stream's end to discuss things, Henry Cavill shows up, and Zack Snyder and fans were there, and one fan asked, "Where's the Snyder Cut?" Basically, and they were like, "Oh, yep, he's going there," and Zack Snyder was like, "Let's watch it," and at the end of the video, and then on HBO Max's Twitter account, they announced, release the Snyder Cut. HBO Max 2021. So, it finally got announced. It finally got announced that there will be the Snyder Cut. Zack Snyder's Justice League, I was going to be called as. And there was, and Zack Snyder said this in a statement: "I want to thank HBO Max and Warner Bros. For this brave gesture of supporting artists and allowing their true visions to be realized. Also, a special thank you for all those involved in the Snyder Cut movement to making this a reality." And according to THR, it's still unclear if the Snyder Cut will be released in episodic chapters, 6 parts, or as a full director's cut, but Snyder reportedly currently reassembling much of the original post-production crew to score, cut, add new, and finish old visual effects, and yes, maybe bring back many of the actors to record additional dialogue to get this thing on the show. And HBO did not state a running time. A lot of people are saying that it's going to be 4 hours. And there were, and I didn't even talk about all the rest of the stuff. Like, there was word going around that Henry Cavill was going to leave Superman, and they were going to find someone else to do it, which, because of talks breaking down in the Shazam movie, because they wanted Superman to show up in the Shazam movie, and they kind of did that, but they never showed his face. So they could have obviously just got body double to do it, because Mission Impossible Fallout was still happening at the time, so they couldn't film it. And yeah, Jason Momoa, Aquaman, saw it. He wanted it. He felt like it was the right thing. There was also going to be Superman's black suit when his resurrection would occur, and that didn't appear in the film. There was this brief deleted scene that was published in on the Blu-ray and DVD where they have Henry Cavill looking at this black suit, but never really putting it on, even though everyone wanted him to. And there was going to be a plan that was going to do it. And yeah, to hear that this was announced, like, I was not part of the whole release of Snyder Cut stuff. I had no say whatsoever on the whole thing for a long time because of how big and kind of toxic it got at times. And then, but here's the thing. I'm not saying I was against the idea of the release the Snyder Cut movement. I would have been all for it, but I didn't want to get involved in it because of how much drama I was getting at times. But I was part of the whole We Want Legends stuff, and I'm not part of the fandom menace. Like, when I heard this was announced, I wrote on Twitter, let's see if I can find it. Let's see. It was a while back, so I'll probably be struggling trying to find it. But I wrote something about regarding hope. This is what... Oh, found it. Let me just... Okay. I wrote this. I am filled with a renewed confidence if we release the Snyder Cut can become a reality, Star Wars' dual canon is the future can too. Which, okay, it's a new movement I pretty much joined. I've been helping out with some people. I'm in several groups relating to this thing. But the idea is that we don't want to get rid of Star Wars' current direction with Disney. Like, they can do what they want with their Disney stuff. But fans have been calling for the Legends continuity to come back, and everyone's been like pushing for the idea of a multiverse idea, or both canons exist, except they're just separate timelines. They don't interact, never to interact, just be their own stuff going on, like how DC and Marvel do their multiverse stuff. So why couldn't Star Wars just have two universes that basically are the same but also completely different? Like, that was the plan. That's the planned idea that we have. We even got a website up. Let's see, it's... Yeah, I'm plugging right now, so... Yeah, if you want to check it out, it's twincanonarchives.wordpress.com, I believe. I'm following several people. We probably have some other stuff in the works. No idea how far yet, but twincanonarchives.wordpress.com. I don't know where .org came from for me. But that's the dream idea for us. Like, our push is to get Legends back in production and get new stories to tell with the characters we all grew up with for the last over 40 years. And Disney can have their stuff, that fans can get into that stuff. Like, we can have our Legend stories, and Disney can have their stories going on. Like, I would have been all for, though I was the guy that was saying this. Like, I would have been all for to make these stories still matter, but I would have loved an ending, so to speak, to the story. Like, maybe a small issue limited comic book series where we get a finale for all the characters we grew up with from the Legends era stuff, and give a proper finale. But enough of the plugging I'm doing and whatnot for dual canon is the future hashtag. But yeah, to hear the Snyder Cut is actually happening, like, Warner Brothers actually is finally caving in and was like, here, we're gonna give you it, coming 2021. That gave me hope that maybe Disney, that if Warner Bros. can finally give into fan hype and fan dream, then maybe Disney can do. Though Disney has much more power than Warner Bros. At the moment. So, yeah, to hear that this was happening, I was excited. I was shocked that this was announced, but to like see it come to life now, it's like I'm shocked. I always heard it, I always saw it, but I never believed Warner Bros. Would actually go with it because it just wasn't gonna fit their ideology. After so many years, they had hoped, I'm pretty sure, that the hype would just die. But when the actors and the directors started getting involved, it was like, yeah, this hype's not gonna die, isn't it? we're fucked. We're fucked if we do this. We're fucked if we don't do this. So really, we might as well just say fuck it. So, but there is one thing I did want to talk about. What will happen if this proves to be a runaway success? Like, I'm pretty sure Warner Bros. And HBO Max is going to go ahead and make it 6 parts because they can release it in 6 weeks, and fans would have to stay on board HBO Max and get that sweet moolah out of it. Come on, let's be real. They'll do that. Then afterwards, they'll release a full cut of the movie on the HBO Max, and then months later, we'll get the Blu-ray and DVD versions, and then they'll make more money when people who no longer want to be subscribed to HBO Max will go ahead and do it. Let's be real. That's the corporate world. So, yeah, we got this idea going on, and now we don't know what's going to happen in store for the future. So, if this proves to be a runaway success, fans have now been clamoring for the Suicide original cut that was supposed to happen. I don't know about that. But the idea is that if this works out, what happens next? Will they decanonize the original Joss Whedon cut, or recanonize the Zack Snyder cut? But then that would lead to more questions than answers for the later movies they released, like Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, and Wonder Woman. Well, not Wonder Woman 2 because that's set in the past again, but yeah, that leads to more questions than answers for the other movies that came out after Justice League. Except maybe Shazam and Birds of Prey, because they were so far removed from the Justice League stuff going on that you just kind of don't, that they kind of probably could just hide behind it. But then there's the Flashpoint movie they're working on, which is rumored to be a universal retcon to try and fix certain stuff, like have Ben Affleck be younger because Ben Affleck doesn't want to play Batman anymore. They could switch out actors and just say alternate timeline. So yeah, so really they'll try and say that this might be canon, or say it's part of the multiverse stuff, since DC's policy for the shows and whatnot, for live action products at least, is that this is all live action. And then they also, I didn't talk about the CW Crisis event. I stopped halfway through it, and then I was going to get back to watching it, but then I got busy with work and everything, and then the virus hit, and I never got the time to do it because I was doing other projects. I saw this clip. Barry Allen of the Justice League DCEU films showed up in CW's Crisis show, and everyone was like, what? Like, he's talking with CW Flash, Barry Allen. They're meeting, and it turns out, and I never gave this thought when I realized it, but like, the Barry Allen in the Justice League never called himself the Flash. What? Like, everyone knows who Batman is. Everyone knows who Superman is. Wonder Woman never says her name, but like, they never make a huge deal on it. People called her Wonder Woman, and then she became Wonder Woman. Aquaman was Aquaman. Cyborg, it's Cyborg, so really what would have been the freak out. But to realize that Barry Allen in the extended universe of DC never calls himself the Flash until the CW show, because Barry Allen introduces himself as the Flash first, and then he says Flash, and I was like, you're fucking kidding me. All this time you wear that suit, you do not give yourself a hero name. Wow. No idea how to react to that. So yeah, so it's been established that this does exist in the DCEU. The Justice League and the DCEU stuff is part of the Arrowverse multiverse. So, and I was thinking, like, instead of Flashpoint, why not just have that? Why not have this be the thing that reboots the universe? Like, still have it happen, but the Crisis show changes the Earths, and since everyone forgets about it, but they could have altered the history of the DCEU films and just start off from scratch. And say, you have to watch the Crisis show. More money for us. So, yeah. there's this release hashtag release the Snyder Cut was a complete runaway success, and now we're gonna get what we wanted. Fans are gonna get what they wanted. People are gonna get what they wanted. Warner Bros. Is probably guaranteed to have billions in the bank now after this, because now they get to have people buy the HBO Max subscription because now they have to watch this. And once they inevitably release on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K Ultra, they're gonna be like, I gotta buy the whole thing because I want to watch the whole thing in its complete uninterrupted order. So, what can you do? And then you gotta remember, DC Universe might have it one day if they start bringing in the DCU films into the DC Universe streaming service. So there's that bonus. So this probably is gonna be a gold mine of money for them if they play their cards right. So I'm optimistically hopeful for this. I'm hoping that whatever Zack Snyder's vision is, it's hopefully much better than what we got for fans. And I really love the idea that the creator finally gets to have his creation finally be shown to light for people and everything. Though I get the feeling he's going to honor his daughter for this. So I get a feeling he's going to honor his daughter for this because this movie happened. Because for a lot of people, this was important to them because people are mad that Warner Bros. Basically used the death of Zack Snyder's daughter in their eyes to get him out so they can get someone else in to do the work. Like, I'm not blaming Joss Whedon for anything that he did. He was just told, hey, could you come in and do this? You worked on Avengers. You made that a runaway success. Do it for us, please. And they probably did not know why Avengers worked so well for fans than Justice League did. It wasn't just the director. It was like they built this up for years. Like, if the MCU started in 2008, we didn't get Avengers until 2012 after several movies had already come out. Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man 2. So that was the big difference. That's what set things up for success. So, hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Runaway success now. They can finally have their Return of the Jedi celebration party now with this. And when the movie comes out in 2021, it's going to blow people's minds, I bet. And I hope with they updating the visual effects, and since they said this is basically a completely different movie, let's hope they really fix up the visual effects. Like, I heard they're going to add an extra $20 million on this recut. So, yeah, it's going to be a big deal. So anyways, those were my thoughts. I hope you like this new format I'm doing. I'm testing things out, trying to experiment on my new computers and everything. This was Neo Reality Entertainment Eric Brown with my thoughts on the hashtag release the Snyder Cut Zack Snyder's Justice League announcement. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, donate, and follow me on my social media accounts. And stay tuned for more, and have a good day, everyone.